The United States and NATO may be playing a really dirty trick up their sleeve in the future that will take down Russia in this war. Now, NATO has said that they want to respond to all of these Russian drone and aircraft incursions onto NATO territory. They haven't done much yet. Now, we've already heard that the United States has approved for all NATO countries to shoot down any Russian aircraft that violates NATO territory, but I think something more nefarious is going to happen that will tremendously help Ukraine. And that dirty trick, which breaks no laws and breaches no treaties, is heavily patrolling the entire Russian and Belarusian border, all the way up through Finland, because Russia would then have no choice but to match those same patrols, which means that is less military assets being devoted towards Ukraine. Because of all of this Russian provocation by violating NATO airspace, all NATO countries now have perfect justification to heavily fortify their border with Russia, but also to patrol them. And as the Russians attempt to increase their own patrols against the NATO patrols, guess which targets Ukraine will most likely start striking? If they don't start attacking the patrols with missile strikes, they will most likely be attacking the bases. And Russian fighter jet patrols all along the NATO border means less airstrikes happening in Ukraine. And the Russian forces are already spread out so thin. They have lost between 20 to 25% of all military aircraft. And when it comes to Russia's losses over the past 3 years, they've already suffered over 1.1 million casualties. Now, this doesn't total just deaths. It's deaths along with serious injuries to the point where the soldiers can no longer fight. But they've also lost over 11,000 tanks, 33,000 artillery systems. I mean, it's bad. One of the great things about NATO is that none of these countries have been fighting a war for a very long time, but they are constantly training with the United States. And the United States has the most integrated weaponry for all of the 32 NATO nations. They are also starting off completely fresh, very well tested, but not battle worn. Russia is relying on China for up to 40 to 60% for economic and military assistance to maintain this war in Ukraine. While NATO countries haven't entered the fray, they have just been sending Ukraine old weaponry, and it is destroying Russia's most modern stuff. My mistake. Russia destroyed most of its advanced tech early in the war with Ukraine, and now they're just fighting with Cold War weaponry. Aside from the drones, it's true, Russia has been implementing a lot of more modern drones, okay? Either way, Russian forces are too spent and spread far too thin to maintain a war in Ukraine, but also to saber rattle against heavy NATO fighter jet patrols. Because if the NATO patrols do start taking place, Russia has to choose to either look weak and not answer those NATO patrols or divert resources from Ukraine, which gives Ukrainian soldiers and the overall military a huge advantage and a chance to reclaim territory. But what if Russia launches nuclear weapons? I made a post about Russia's failure to maintain a lot of their nuclear program during the Cold War and after. I've attached it in this post. You should watch it. But the short version is Russia isn't even sure how many of their nuclear weapons work, how many of them can be launched, and how many of them would actually make it out of Russia if they launched them. To wrap this up, the Russian drone and fighter jet incursions into NATO territory have given the United States and the rest of NATO a tremendous opportunity and justification for escalating their side in this conflict. Let me know what you think about all this, and thanks for watching.